games. It's ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames. Drop a like, drop a sub, go ahead and subscribe to ScrubGames.
How's it going, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have the next in our review of the set 5 cards, and we've gone over the first three colours, and we're on to the last of the colour aspects, and that is Cunning. So we'll go over all the Cunning cards today in set 5 Legends of the Force, and kind of just review and give a little thoughts on for each of them. So before we do get into it, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as and when they drop. And by clicking that notification bell, you can get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or at a later time to suit your best. But we're still on our way to 2,000 subs, just under 80 subs away still. So if you have a sub, thank you very much, we appreciate it. And yeah, if you haven't, feel free to do so. So without the way, let's get into it and review the Cunning cards set 5 Legends of the Force. Starting off with the 1-drops, and starting off with Villainy as well, we've got Adept of Anger. This is a 1-drop, 1/3. With an action, tap, use the Force, exhaust the unit. So you can't use this even on turn 2 unless you can gain the Force with a 1-drop somehow, which I don't think there is one. You have to at least attack with something or with it, and then after you can use the Force. So it's a nice little 1-cost unit to be able to try and help you get the Force by attacking with a Force unit on those common bases. But its effect to tap and use the Force, it's alright. Not amazing. Having to use the Force for it means it's a little bit less impactful, but it is not too bad for a turn 1 play. That can help you get in Force. Free health is not too bad, but then, yeah, it could be, it's alright. Next, we've got Aura Sing. So we're going up to our 2-cost now. We got Aura Sing as a 2-cost 1/4. So not the 2/4 a lot of aspects are getting, but still pretty good because it has hidden, so it can be attacked the same turn it was played. So at least that way it's got some protection there. And it also has raid 2, so what is only a 1/4. When it swings as a 3/4, which is really strong. And it's a brand new card for Underworld and Bounty Hunter, so Cad Bane getting some brand new cards, brand new things to play, and it's always welcome for that as well. Because it seems like Cunning is the main focus for Underworld and Bounty Hunter, so like a lot of the cards in there seem to be that, and you don't get hopefully some more Force cards. We haven't really had any up until the set. So it's a really nice card, really nice turn 1 play, solid health, and a good amount of power in like raid 1. It doesn't do too much when it's hit into, but when it hits itself, when it swings itself, then it's very impactful. Next, we've got Deceptive Shade, and this is never a non-Force card. It's a 2-cost, 2/3 Sith Undead, so Undead is a brand new trait we've got in this set, which is pretty cool. And this has got a when defeated, where the next unit you play this phase gains ambush for this phase. So it's not too bad. It is a rare, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get because the rares seem a little bit more harder to get than like, the legendaries, everything like that, which is weird. But yeah, this is interesting. You can play it turn 1, but then you ideally want to have it defeated before you play anything, so you can play something with the maximum resources or something you want to play and have ambush. So if you've tapped out and then this is taken out, you're going to waste it. So it's easy enough to do it, like free health is not too bad, but then if you can't ram into something else and they can then take it out next turn, or take it on the turn after you've played something, then you've essentially wasted it. So it's pretty good, just requires a lot of some proper sequencing to make full use of it. Next, we're going into space with the 3 cards. So we've got Banking Clan Shuttle being a 3-cost 3/3 with hidden, so that's all it is, just hidden, because it can't be it's like the Separatists as well, so it's got some synergy with Dooku, but then that's it, just 3-cost 3/3. It's not too bad. It's decent stats. At least it can't be taken out the turn it's played, which is not too bad. So it's like a new helpful card with Vader, maybe. It could be a good one for Vader, because it's never a vehicle that can, at least that way, come down on turn 2 and then be protected by hidden, so it can't be attacked into, so you can attack with it hopefully the next turn and gain those tokens. Then we've got Nile Marauder, so the next of the Nile cards we've got, as we saw, we had the first one in Aggression, just that 1 of 1 there. We got Nile Marauder, a 3-cost 1/5, so good health for a 3-drop, just only 1 power, but it has raid 3, meaning when it attacks, it gets extra 3+ power, 1 attacking. So that means it hits as a 4/5, which is very good as a 3-cost, very, very good, but defensively it's not going to do much damage, but still, it is a very nice one, and most of the time when you look at things that issue like with low power lower than 3 or 3 or less, and like strength out when it can attack, you think Grand Inquisitor. So it's another one that could maybe bring Grand Inquisitor to actually be a viable leader to use at the moment, because I haven't seen it play since the first set really. But yeah, it's a really nice one for that, and also Underworld as well. So it's another new card for Cad Bane, which is pretty cool to trigger Cad Bane's ping with the Underworld, and then also be able to start hitting hard as well. So a nice new addition for him. So next we go into the first force card we've got in the in Cunning, and that is Shin Hati, being a free cost 4/2. This is a very nice card because 4/2 you might think is not the best stats, but it comes in hidden, so it can be attacked the same turn, and it's shielded as well, so it's got that protection. So this is very nice because if you think of Gar Saxon, which is mainly played as a blue-yellow deck due to all the shields you can get from that combination of colors, and itself, like shield being an upgrade, meaning that way all cards with shielded gain an extra 1 power. It's really nice, making this a 5/2 you can play out that can be attacked the same turn and can hit for 5 the next turn, and that's really good because a lot of power to be very aggressive like Gar Saxon wants to be, and also it's a really nice force unit because you've got protection as well for coming in, so you can survive the turn, so you can swing with a force card. So very good uncommon. Then we have our next one being Second Sister, and this is a 4 cost 3/6, so pretty solid stats there. 4 cost 3/6. We've got the same stats on Seventh Sister. I think it's Seventh Sister from set 1, but this is this costs 1 less, so it's a 4 cost 3/6 instead of a 5 cost 3/6. And also in our Force Imperial Inquisitor, get the benefits there from those stats. And also on attack, you can start 2 cards from the new deck, and for each Force card discard this way, you can untap a resource. So that means you can get some potential untapping as well, but then it's random for what you mill, and you can mill potentially cards that you don't want to lose. But there are quite a few Force cards in all different cards, like, I'm not sure. I think there might be some in upgrades, but there's definitely some in units and events as well. So if it just has to be a Force card, not a unit, it's a Force card, you get you some resources back to allow you to play more things. So it's pretty nice. It's a rare, so it's not too bad for a rare, but yeah, it could be very nice in those Force-focused decks. Next we have Balin's Skull, so this is Shin Hati's master, so the Enigmatic Master. 5 cost 5/5, Force Fringe with hidden as well, so nice little protection there and very solid stats. And when played, you can use the Force and never wait to use up the Force after gaining it. And if you do, you return a non-leader unit that costs 4 less to its owner's hand, then its owner gets to play it for free. You might be thinking, what is the point of that? What is the use? Well, there are units that have when played effects, like if you think about it, being able to reuse things like Ahsoka or Bodhi Rook to replay those one play, because it's the main ones I kind of think of when it comes to one play and Cunning. And you get to bring them back out, put them back in, trigger the one played, and also if they had damage on before, they now come back in fresh and healed, which is cool. Also things like with Shin Hati, having her out and attacking and losing the shield, being able to use Balin to bring her back out, bring her back in again, so she's hidden, can't be attacked until she's already attacked, and then come back in fresh with the shield and hidden live as well, while he's hidden as well. So pretty nice force shoot for him, to especially be able to reuse and bring out and back when played effects. It doesn't have to be a specific kind of unit, just as long as that unit costs 4 or less, you can do that on it as well. So pretty nice there. Next, we jump up to Marcion Rowe. I think it's Marcion Rowe. Correct me if I'm wrong on the pronunciation of that. And Eye of the Nile. So it's a 6 cost 6/7. So very good stats for a 6 drop. 6 drop with 6 power and 7 health is very good. And its only effect is each friendly unit's raid is doubled. And this is the first legendary you've seen as well for Cunning as well. So that's pretty nice. So interesting as well. If you're playing this, you're mainly running cards to have your raid doubled, but then again, you got to have this on board, keep it on board, which can prove to be a little bit difficult if they focus on attacking it or just removing it with different kind of effects like damage with red, and then bouncing with yellow, and then just effect removal with blue to remove it easily. And you want to have a lot of raid, and I don't think there's too much. So far as I remember, there's not too much raid in. There's not too much raid in the Villainy side. But then with that new 3-drop Nile card, also Cad Bane itself, because it's an underworld card, so ping and then doubling Cad Bane's raid. So rather than swinging for 4, he's swinging for 6 without any buffs outside of this. It's pretty cool. And doubling that 3-drop unit's raid from 3 to 6 means he's swinging for 7, which is huge for a 3-drop. So it's going to be pretty nice if it sticks. But I think it's more of a thing that Cad Bane can use, because it can come down on the same turn he's deployed, and then double his own raid as well. And then we got a lightsaber, so we got one of the new lightsabers. There's quite a few lightsabers in the set. We got corrupted lightsaber, or corrupted saber. It's a 2-cost 2/1 boosting unit upgrade that can only be attached to a non-vehicle unit. And then if the attached unit is a force unit, which there's not many in the villainy side, especially in cunning, then it gains on attack. The defender gets -2 power for this attack. So not too bad. It's basically. Well, it is essentially the it's another version of the Jedi lightsaber, but for yellow. But instead of on both stats, it's just on one stat. Just the power's reduced, not their attacks health's reduced. So it's like another version of that, but on the dark side. But then again, on the dark side, there's not too many force units. Like even in green, there's only 3 force units in green, in the villainy side anyway. And in red, there are now only 3, as I think about, which is Shin, Second Sister, and Balin. So it's still not many. If you want to go for that aspect combination, there's not many to use it on. But yeah, this is just lacking in the Force still. Even though we got a lot of Force units in the set, it is very lacking in the dark side. Next we have As I Have Foreseen. This is a pretty interesting one that seemed to be really amazing, but there's not many ways you can set up the top card of your deck. Like the only 2 leaders that can check the top card of your deck to like kind of check what's on there is Yoda and Thrawn for set 1. And Thrawn for set 1 just has a look at both yours and your opponent's cards on your top of your deck. It doesn't get to arrange it, just gets you to have a look. So you have to wait until you've got something worthwhile on top of your deck that you can bring out with this to use it on. And then for Yoda, Yoda is heroic, so you're mainly going to be using Your My Only Hope instead of this, because otherwise you're still paying free for it, but then using the Force, and Your My Only Hope doesn't need to use the Force. But this is a pretty strong card. It's a 1-cost event that allows you to look at the top card of your deck, and then you can use the Force. And if you do play that card, it costs 4 less. So it gives the card an extra 3-cost reduction, so it's playing it 3 turns ahead. And if you're playing I can't remember the name of the unit from set 1 now. Is I keep thinking Bazine, but it's not Bazine. But is a set 1 like card for set 1, all the way from set 1, that allows you to tap him to go ahead and just give him yourself like play an event for you from your hand, and it costs 1 less. And let me just see if I can check a name for it quickly. I said bid for Tuna. I know it was a B to begin with, but I'm trying to think of what it was. But yeah, bid for Tuna can help you play this for free, so you can then get a card for a 4-cost 4 turns ahead if you're in bid for Tuna, which is in the same aspect. But then there's no reliable way at the moment, even with the set, to to pick and sort what is on the top of your deck. So you either have to use Thrawn to wait till you actually get something you want to play off it, or you can play in any deck and just do it blind. But it's a pretty nice card, but in this set it doesn't seem that impressive. But maybe in future sets we might get some leaders that can help sort out and stack the top of your deck. That's not heroic. And then we have the last card of Villainy, being Liberated by Darkness, and this is essentially like a lot of cards in this set seem to be new versions of older cards, just in a different way, like as if they're preparing us for rotation. And that is Liberated by Darkness, a 5-cost, use the Force. If you do take control of a non-leader unit and at the start of the regroup phase, the unit takes control of it. So it's a villainy version of Change of Heart. So you have Change of Heart in the first set, which is a 6-cost event, allows you to just take one of your opponent's units, and then at the end of the turn, if you still have it, you give it back. And it's the same thing, but you have to use the Force. It costs 1 less, and it's in villainy, not so it's not available to the Heroism unless they want to play with aspect penalty, but it's available to the villainy side. And you have to use the Force, the mechanic. You have to have the Force mechanic so you can actually use it. So not too bad. So it's like if you go with so it's like a new addition for things like Dooku and Palpatine to be able to go and take your opponent's units, use them, and then sack them off for things like exploit or to draw a card and things like that, like to do some damage and draw a card. So it's nice new additions for them, but then they have to play the Force unit, or the Force the Force mechanic to be able to go ahead and just go and use it. So not sure if that's worth it for those decks, since they can just do it, carry on, just Change of Heart, but it is a pretty nice card if you can use the Force. Even then, you can take your opponent's unit they've played out or got you can threaten them with lethal with, take control of it, and then use it against them, which is pretty nice. So not too bad there, but yeah, not the most amazing. So, starting off with the heroic ones, we've got Anakin Skywalker, one of the ones from the starter deck. It's a 1 cost 1/1, hidden and shielded. So, it's a nice cheap force unit you can get down on turn 1 to be able to go ahead and then gain unit force. Because it's got hidden, so it can be attacked the same turn, and it's shielded, so it's got a little bit of protection with it. Pretty nice. So, low stats, but it doesn't matter because it's protected with hidden and shielded. So, it's going to gain unit force. And the nice thing about it is it most likely will survive outside of like extra ping and things like that. But it also is a nice thing to allow you to do things like force throw on the first turn. Like if you want to force your opponent to discard a card, or maybe take out your opponent's turn 1 force play to combat and like stop them from gaining force yourself. This could be something you can play turn 1 and then use things like force throw to then have a force unit to make them discard a card, or you discard a card and you do damage to their unit that they play turn 1. So pretty nice one. Not the most like best one. Like it seemed to be amazing from the first view because you can also go force throw with it. But sometimes you want a better unit that can stick around and actually do something rather than just be a cheap unit that does nothing unless you want to spam the board and get 2/1 drops out turn 1, so you can make sure you definitely gain the force without 1 being removed. But pretty nice card, and yeah, going to be pretty useful. Next we have BD1, and this is a 1-drop 1/3. So this is a new droid with hidden as well, so also having a new mechanic. And it's pretty nice because it comes down and kind of does the same thing as Hu Yang, where it come down, it give a benefit to the something as long as it sticks around. But unlike Hu Yang, it doesn't have as well. It's not too bad for stats for a 1-drop. It also has hidden, so it can be protected as well due to that on the turn it's played at least. But its effect is 1 played, you can choose a never friendly unit. While this unit stays in play, the chosen unit gets an extra 1 power and Saboteur. So 1 and Saboteur is pretty good. Not a huge buff like how Hu Yang gives something an extra 2/2. So not as beneficial as that, but still a +1 extra power and Saboteur is pretty nice. Because then you're hitting a little bit harder, especially if you're playing aggro. Hit a little bit harder, and you can ignore sentinels and even defeat shields and things you take out. So not too bad, not too impressive though. Next we have N1 Starfighter, a pretty nice space unit. So this is a 2-cost 3/2, so it's pretty good. It's very aggressive, so it's something as like a new tool that the heroic side of Cunning can use. But then the thing is, well, it is a nice one to have in those 2 costs because it's then hitting hard at 3 and in 1 pass. Most things that want to take it out will then die on the clapback to it in the early games. And yeah, it can hit quite hard as well. The only issue is when it comes to space in the heroic side, you've got a lot of good units, especially when you're most likely going to have dual colors. And Millennium Falcon is a better one to have on the next turn, but it has 3-drop. But then for 2 costs, it's still not too bad, like because you got a good one in almost every single aspect. Really, you've got like blue hasn't got blue's got Restored Arc, which is not too bad. At least gives you a bit of healing. Then you've got like Green Squadron for red, and then you've got Phoenix Squadron, I think, for green. So you haven't got the most amazing for the heroic side of Cunning for this one, but this is a nice new addition, and we'll see play for space-focused decks, or even just a good unit for new decks anyway. Next we have Youngling Padawan, and this is a very nice way to just generate force, because it's a 2-cost 2/3, so a nice turn 1 unit that, when played, just gives you the force and helps you create the force. So it's a pretty good one, especially when decks like any deck that wants to use the force in the heroic side, using this bit to gain the force you can start using is pretty nice. And especially in things like Obi-Wan, you can play in the gain the force, and you got it straight away to be able to use the force and then give it an extra experience token, turning it into a 3/4 on turn 1, which is pretty powerful. And even then, with things like Qui-Gon, where you need the force, but it might be hard to get hold of the force if your opponent keeps taking out units, stopping you from attacking. Then you can use this as a way to gain the force and not have to worry about trying to attack to gain it as well. So it's a pretty good unit. I thought this won't be a staple in mostly all Cunning heroic decks going forward that need the force. So next one we got J-type Nubian Starship. This is a pretty nice one. This is essentially a space version of the heroic side of I can't remember I don't know if it's governor or senator. It's like the senator it just costs, just instead of having more health and low power like the other one, is a 2-cost unit, so it plays as early as turn 1 and has 1 power, 5 health, that when played draws your card, and when defeated discards a card, which is the exact same thing as this does, but then it's a space unit with a bit more of a little bit less health, a bit more power, and 2/4 instead of a 1/5. Costs a little bit one more, but it's locked to the heroic side, and pretty nice one as well. So it's got some nice synergies with a deck that can like bounce it back, and unlike the senator, whatever the other one is, I can't remember the exact name. It can be bounced back and recycled like with Home 1, because unless you want to use the set 1 spaceship that needs you to bounce back one of your own units to be able to play it out as a 2-4 for 2, which is not too bad, then you can recycle it for that. But then, unlike with Home 1 bounces back the card and draws a card, whereas that one just bounces the card. So you can avoid it with that. Not too bad, and it will be a pretty nice unit. And also, as another way, if you want to make the full use, if you play it with blue, and make use of the Anakin, you could do this as a way. Then you could discard a card, and you can try to discard a dark villainy card, so you get that access to both Anakin's Wooden Blades. Finish for Rose is a really good one, a very nice one for those 4 decks for the Horse Mechanic. It is a rare, it's a very good rare though. It's a 3-cost 3-4, so same stats as things like Ezra from set 1, and other units like that, where 3-4 is pretty strong for the 3-cost stats. Force and Jedi, so no Republic benefits there, so you can't recycle it with things like Tranquility, but it's got a very nice one played where you can use the Force, and if you do ready, you can ready it. So another unit that can come in and ready for the heroic side, like Millennium Falcon and Cassian, that can come in and be able to attack straight away. It's pretty nice, but you do need the Force Mechanic, but it's a great payoff for the Force Mechanic and a great reason to do so. Especially since if you play a Force unit turn 1 and then get attack with it and gain the Force, you can then play this out, ready it by using the Force's swing and gain the Force back as well. So very nice for the Force aggression. Next we got Jedi Sentinel, so another Force Jedi. There's a lot more Force units in the heroic side than there is in the villainy side, but then again, the villainy side doesn't have many Force users, and especially with like if you think about the dark side more like a Sith, and the good side being the Jedi, the Sith have less people because it's all about like the Rule 2 and things like that. You might, even though that's probably like when that's later on not always been the case, but then the Jedi there's a lot more Jedi than there are Sith and stuff like that. So it makes more sense that there are more Force units in the heroic side than the villainy side, but still, it would be nice if there were a bit more to help out the Force stuff in the villainy. But the Jedi Sentinel's pretty nice. 4-cost 5-4, same as we've seen on things like Eve Goth, but this is while the Force is with you, getting Sentinel, so it's pretty good. It's easy enough to get a Sentinel out by just basically gaining the Force, not difficult to do, and then becomes a 5-4 Sentinel, which is pretty nice. Next we go to Qui-Gon's Aether Sprite, and this is a pretty nice one. It's a 5-cost 3-6 ship, so same stats as say like Seventh Sister for set 1, but on a ship. Jedi Republic Vehicle Fighter, and also has a 1 on attack where the next time you use a 1-played ability this phase, you can use that ability again. Now this is very good, very strong, especially when you've got some strong 1-played effects like Ahsoka Tano, which makes your opponent discard a card, and if it's a unit, they have to go ahead and you can go and tap down something. Getting that to trigger twice is very strong. The only thing is it's a 5-cost 3-6, which is not the best to bring on that kind of a turn. But if you can get this out and stick it around, then those 1-plays are going to be doubled up and very nice. But you do have to not only play it, but attack with it, so you're not going to get immediate use. But the next turn after you've set this up, you can then go ahead and get those cool 1-plays. Especially think about things like, there's a lot of good 1-plays, like there's even Home 1 and Killer and Beck as well. It's very nice once you can drop out and get double those effects to just spam more on the board, which is very cool. So very nice effect. Not the if you can get the pull off, it's going to be amazing. But if you can't pull it off, then it seems like a waste of a unit. Then in the same class we got the Stinger Mantis. This is the Cal Kestis' ship, and Cal Kestis and his cruise ship. It's a 5-cost 4-6, so pretty decent stats, not too bad. A little bit better than the Qui-Gon's Aether Sprite. But has a nice little 1-play where you can deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit. So doing damage is pretty nice. Exhausted is like where Cunning is when it comes to some of its things it wants to do. In terms of like tapping things and bouncing things is a lot of the mechanic of Cunning, like how the way it's played. So not too bad. Like even if your opponent attacks with something, it's then exhausted, or when they play something, you can then come down and do it. Do 2 damage to it. And if you can also never 1-played where with Aether Sprite, you can then do 4 damage, which is pretty cool. Depa Balava, this is one I thought this one was going to be one of the olden times Republic, but no, this is the I can't remember whose master this is. This is someone's master, but I can't remember who she is. I think this was Kanan. No, not Cal Kestis. This was someone's teacher, but I can't remember who the teacher was. Now I remember reading about it the other day. So this is a pretty nice one, a 6-cost 5-7, so pretty solid stats for a cost. Also has Ambush and Saboteur, so it's coming down and attacking straight away, and also go ahead and ignoring the sentinels and shields as well, which is pretty cool. So a nice one, especially with like things like Qui-Gon. You can then bounce put this on attack, then bounces back to play Plo Koon, which is very cool. Just basically just getting that and just constantly gaining the force and just ambush spamming, which is very nice. Very solid card. That's a nice new addition to the heroic side of Cunning. Then you got Qui-Gon Jinn. I think this is I wasn't paying attention to rarities just now, but I think this is the first legendary for the heroic side of Cunning. I think the only one maybe. And this is a pretty nice one, a very nice one. It's a 7-cost 7/5, so pretty good stats. Like the reverse of Mace Windu, where he's more this one's more aggressive. Where Mace Windu, well, they're both like Mace Windu. They both have ambush. They have the same stats, just reversed. Where Mace Windu's got more health but less power. Whereas Qui-Gon's more beneficial with these stats because he has a when defeated, whereas Mace Windu wants to keep the more health because he's got a better a trigger for like when a unit is defeated by a restand and things like that. Whereas this has got a when defeated, so you want less health so it can kind of trigger more often. And that is, you may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts it on top or bottom of the deck. So a nice way to essentially take out 2 units. This is going to be a very good legendary, a very nice legendary grab if you play on Heroism, especially with Cunning as well. Because having this is an ambush unit, it can then, if defeated, bottom deck, or force your opponent to either top or bottom deck a unit they have on board that's in the ground area. Is very good. So very nice legendary. Looking forward to getting some of these as well. And then moving on to Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber as well. So he's always got a lightsaber, his own one, because there's a lot of lightsabers and a lot of unique ones as well. And this one is a 2-cost 3/1, so same kind of cost and stats to Yoda's one, which is cool. Can't attach to a vehicle, so a non-vehicle unit. But then, unlike Yoda's, this can't be used on any unit, and you still get the effects. It only gets the effect if it's played on Qui-Gon, and it's not really a great one because when played, if the attached unit is Qui-Gon Jinn, you may exhaust any number of units where a combined cost of 6 or less. So it's not that great. Like, you don't really care too much about or paying to just tap things down. You want to remove things or just have something more beneficial. And this isn't a great effect, and I wouldn't run this with either of the Qui-Gons, to be honest. Next, we have Mind Tricks. This is an event for Cunning, and this is a pretty interesting one. It's a Never Force one, a rare as well. So pretty nice there. Well, pretty nice as a rare, but it's never a trick. But then if you think about tricks, you more think about Jabba the Hutt and being able to use it with him, who's villainy, so you're not really going to want to have the aspect penalty, and then essentially the aspect penalty is going to be 1 instead of 2 if you're playing it with Jabba because you've got the heroic side. But yeah, this is interesting because it's a 2-cost event that allows you to exhaust any number of units on with a combined power of 4 or less. You can exhaust a lot of things if they have a lot of things that are weak or like very weak, but then have things that raid. So benefits there. And it's got another one of those units where, well, not units but events where if you control a force unit, you can get extra benefits. And that is if you control a force unit, those units that you chose lose all their abilities. So it's kind of like the heroic version of Force Lightning, but instead of the damage, you both of them have the whole making things lose abilities, but you can choose more than one. But then you're doing exhausting stuff, which exhausting stuff and losing abilities isn't great. Like, it's not really worth it for paying 2 resources just to make rest a few things, then maybe make things lose abilities. That's not worth it, especially with 4 less power. If your opponent's only things on board have 5 or more power, then you can't do anything with this. So not a great one, and yeah, not a good rare. And then for the last of the heroic ones, we've got Premonition of Doom, a Never Force event. It's a free cost. The next time you take the initiative, this phase exhausts all units. Now, this isn't great unless your opponent's got a massive board, and all you want to do is do nothing for an action and then claim. Then you can give them a chance to attack with 1 unit, and then you basically just claim and then exhaust all units. And this is even yours as well. But this doesn't. I don't see what this is good for or how this is great. It doesn't seem great. Then we go into the 2 double Cunning cards. That's right. Double Cunning also got 2 aspects. It was only red that missed out and only had 1 double aspect. Yellow still getting multiple double aspects, and also having probably the strongest and the best ones. But this one we've got is Zuckuss, and it's not great for his effect. Not too bad for his stats. A 5 cost 4 or 7. That's like Boba level stats on the leader. It got banned. Also, is a legendary as well. So very legendary in Cunning. And his effect's not great unless you know what's on your opponent's deck, which only works really with Prawn. Which do you really want to go double cunning with Prawn? Because it's on attack, name a card, then discard the top card of the defending player's deck. If a card with that name is discarded, this unit gets extra 4+ power for this attack. Now, the only thing I can see is doing well against is, well, is Fraud. Or if you're against a Endless Legion deck, where they're trying to put Endless Legion on top of their deck, and you want to try and swing, and you can call it and potentially hit them for lethal, then what also, well, yeah, potentially hit the card on top of the deck if they do it with the now they're two, well, not now they're two of them, your money help, but yeah, not a great card unless you're playing Fraud, and even then, double cunning Fraud, I'm not sure if that's a great option to go for. Next, you've got Force Speed, and I can't think of many Force cards. Well, it doesn't have to be a Force card, actually. Like, this is a Force event, but you don't have to use it with Force units. But it's a 1-cost event, which I think maybe the first 1-cost double event. I'm not sure. I'm not going to have a look now, but I think it might be. But its effect is attack with a unit, and for this attack, it gains on attack, return any number of non-unique upgrades attached to the defender to their owner's hand. So we can attack into something and knock all their upgrades off them that are not unique. So that's things like non-unique. It's things like shields, experience, and anything that isn't like Qui-Gon's lightsaber or something. With a little start at the beginning. So it's not too bad, but I'm not seeing the best use of attacking and something and knocking off the upgrades back. Putting it back in their hands so they can put on something else. I'm not sure if that's great. Like, sure, you can combat the new Kylo, but if they just put unique units upgrades on it, you're not doing anything against it. Next, we have Babu Frick, and this is a new 1-cost unit, because now we're in the just normal cunning cards. This is a 1-cost unit, and never one of those 1/4s, but this one's underworld, not a droid, and it's got an action that's the support droids, where you may attack with a friendly droid unit, and for this attack, it deals damage equal to its remaining HP instead of its power. So it's a nice way to kind of make those droids have very low power but a lot of health, and do a lot more damage. Do damage to things. But you need to use this in action to attack with that unit. So you kind of tap him and then attack with a droid. But then it's doing damage equal to its remaining HP instead. So you can make some of those little droids do a lot more damage, but yeah, like it can be helpful for that, but I'm not sure on many droid decks. There's not many droid decks, but if you do get a droid focused deck, this is going to have a good benefit to it. Next, we have the Loft Cat, and this is a 2-cost 2/1 creature with a 1-player win defeated. You may exhaust the ground unit. It's a nice way to tap things down. Could be helpful to stop your opponent from attacking there with the Force units while you attack into them. But yeah, not too bad. Not the best stats, but yeah, not too bad to use. You got the same thing in, well, unless you're playing Heroism, then you're mostly going to use Lair because you can do the same thing but tap any unit or then untap your resource. So yeah, more like a thing that new thing for rotation when Lair rotates out. Next, we have Mysterious Hermit, being a new 2-cost 1/4 Force unit. So nice little turn 1 play, and has ambush as well. So it's going to be something like generate the Force from turn 1, which is pretty nice with his Force attacking base. Because if you opponent plays a ground unit, you can then attack straight away. Sure, you take some damage back and do a little, like just 1 damage to them. But then you'll gain the Force to have it ready to use for next turn for whatever the leader's effect is that needs to use the Force. Or whatever card you've got to use the Force. Because like things like Obi-Wan, you can then go ahead and put an experience on them. So that way they've got an extra 1/1 that are 2/5 now. So they're going to hit a little bit harder next turn. Or even bounce back to play something out with Qui-Gon. But yeah, it's a nice way to generate the Force by an ambush unit, and having a cheap one like this, that's pretty handy. Next, we got our first Tusken Raider, so with the new Tusken trait. A 3-cost 2/4, pretty solid stats. Also has a Raid 2 as well, so pretty solid for the stats and the effects. And then when played, each enemy unit loses hidden for this phase. So a nice way to turn off hidden if your opponent's got units that are hidden and you want to attack into them. You can do so with this, which is pretty cool. Charging Philak is another one, a 4-cost 3/4 with ambush and hidden as well, so it can come down attack into something straight away the turn it's played, but also be prevented from, well, can't be attacked into during that same phase as well. So it can attack but not be attacked, so it's like kind of interesting. But never a new creature. I'm not sure how viable it is to go like Kanan with yellow, but it could be handy because you do have some more creatures. But it looks to be just those two creatures on the from yellow. So I'm not sure if there's any of them from previous sets. I think most from the previous sets, the cunning cards have been bounty hunters and things like that. So it might be just those two creatures, that and Lothcat, but could be useful and not too bad for a sealed and draft, but not great for not the best for competitive really. Next we have Dooku, so it's a never force unit we've got, a 4-cost 5 force, pretty solid stats there, force and hidden as well. And also when played, you can make each friendly unit with hidden not be attacked for this phase. So you can essentially jump start hidden again for any units that have hidden, but have already been played out for previous turns, then have them used again. So it can come in on itself hidden, and make every units that have hidden again. And solid stats for it as well, 5 power, 4 health is not too bad for 5 costs. Once again, with Kanan from set 1, just reverse stats. A pretty good one and pretty decent for competitive too. Life Weight Wind Sage. So it's a 4-cost 3/5. So the best stats for a free drop just on 1 more cost. It's not too bad in a force unit. And one enemy unit is exhausted, this unit gains raid 2. So when your opponent has something down, let's attack with it. Well, it can send it as a 5/5, which is not too bad. It could be pretty decent for the constructive, but very good for sealed draft. Now we have the next legendary for Cunning, so the 4th one. We've got the Legacy Run, a 5-cost 3/3. It's not the best stats for its cost, but has a very cool when defeated, and also its effect goes very, very well with itself in the novels for this. I think it is where it's destroyed in hyperspace and then ends up going through a lot of planets, killing loads and doing tons of damage due to being destroyed in its debris flying through hyperspace, through planets and stuff like that, which is crazy bad. But that's why it ties in flavorful with its effect, where when defeated, it deals 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. So when it's taken out, you get to deal 6 damage, or its stats as damage across the board. And if you put in Thrawn, and now I'm sure is set for Thrawn with yellow is a great build, but then you can trigger this twice to do 12 damage across your opponent's board, eventually almost board wiping most of the time. Like a 12 damage across is pretty strong. Next we have the 6-cost Sorcerers of Tund, being a 6-cost 6/6 with shielded and a force unit as well. So a pretty decent unit. Not sure if it doesn't really do much on play, it just comes down shielded. I'm not sure if it's going to do much in competitive, but then it's a very strong one for draft. It's going to be shielded, very high stats for its cost, which is solid. Then going into one upgrade we've got in a normal set of Cunning, which is Ascension Cable, which doesn't look from the art like it's Cal Kestis, but I think Ascension Cable, I think about Earth Jedi Survivor with Cal having the cable he can shoot out and then just jump. I could get things easier. But it's a 2-cost 1/3 upgrade attached to a non-vehicle unit, and the attached unit gains Saboteur. So it means it can ignore a Sentinel and defeats any shields it on a defender. So it's pretty nice, and this is one that I feel is another good addition to Kylo Yellow, to get the whole deploy as a huge unit and swing hard and have these extra benefits like Saboteur and stuff like that. It's a pretty nice one to put in that, so you can stop your opponent from putting a Sentinel out and stopping your whole game plan swing into their base as a huge unit. So now we're into the many events for Cunning. We got first one, the Servants in the Force, a 1-cost event where if a friendly unit left player's phase, forces with you, gain the Force, and you can give a shield token to unit. So a nice way if something's taken out, just to gain the Force, have that with you now if you have already used it or haven't been on attack to gain it, and then shield up something to protect it. Not too bad, but I'm not sure if it's going to be great competitively. Next we have Force Flow, another 1-cost event for Force, which is give an exhausted unit minus 8 power for this phase. So we've already seen there's a base in set 1 that kind of did this. Minus is the power of something once a game by 4. That's a non-leader, and also there's an event that was a minus the power of it. None of those. Well, that base really never saw play, and that event never saw play. So I don't think this is going to be a great. Minusing 8 power is a lot of power to take off something, but then unless you can take it out, or I've got units to then swing into it to not take damage back, it's not going to be great. And even if you're then using this to stop yourself from getting lethaled, you're only holding it off by minusing the power. So not amazing, and I don't really see much play outside of, well, even in draft really, or sealed. Next, we got the next 1-drop event, which is Impossible Escape, another Force event, where you can exhaust either a friendly unit or use the Force. And if you do either, exhaust an enemy unit and draw a card. So a nice way to draw a card, or exhaust something and draw a card to replace itself, which is pretty cool. I love the art as well from when Qui-Gon jumps back on the ship to escape Darth Maul and carries on going on their merry way. And this is nice that he's got two options to use it, which is like, well, for the to be able to use it, either exhaust one of your own units, which you can do if you got, or if you don't want to exhaust units, you can just use the Force if you've got the Force to trigger it as well. It's not too bad. Pretty interesting. A nice way to use the Force to hold something off and draw, but it's just more of a stall thing. But it's not really doing anything other than just tapping something down. It's cheap, but I'm not sure how good it is competitively. Next, we got psychometry. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, the word, but if someone can correct me, that'd be great. It's a one-cost event where you choose another card in your discard pile, and then you get to search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card that shares that trait with the chosen card, read it and draw it, and then put the rest of the bottom in random order. So it's a nice little search here, but you need to have set up in your discard to be able to do it, and it's got to be a certain trait. And luckily, it's a trait on a chosen card, not unit, so you can even get Force events from this by choosing Force, or anything that might share an event. So if you've got a very popular event or a popular trait that most of your deck follows, this could be a way to search it. But you don't do anything with that card in your discard, just choose a trait on it, which is not too bad, but not amazing. But I think it could be useful just to help search for things that a certain trait, so you can grab anything on that trait, no matter the cost and stuff. So it could be useful, but I'm not sure how it'd be great competitively. Next, we've got the almost over with the one-drop events, because a lot of them for Cunning. We've got Sheer and Flow. This is a very nice one. This is like a new timely invention, just it can't be smuggled, but it has different benefits because it's in yellow. So it's a one-cost event that allows you to play, allows you to play a Force unit from your hand, paying its cost though, so you don't play it for free, pay its cost. It gains Ambush for this phase, so it can attack straight away. And the next time it will be dealt damage this phase, prevent 2 of that damage. Now this is something that I've kind of been looking into Barra's offing, because the fact that you can use the Force and play an event from your hand, it costs 1 less. So essentially play this for free. So you can play units on curve, but also having ambush and taking 2 less damage from that phase. So pretty nice for that kind of thing. And even then, even if you're playing 1 cost more, having a Force unit come in ambushed and then taking 2 less damage is great. Like I've been looking to try and play it with Darth Maul from set 3, to have it come in, attack 2 things at once with ambush, so attack the same turn it's played, and then also take 2 damage from one of those attacks, which is pretty cool. So very nice card. I feel like we'll see competitive play with Force-focused decks. And then we have the one-cost events. Not all of the events, we've still got some more, but the last of the one-cost ones, it's Trust Your Instincts. Essentially, the new Shoot First for when it gets rotated out. Because the one-cost event allows you where you use the Force, and if you do, attack with a unit, it gets 2+ power for this attack and deals its combat damage before the defender. So same as Shoot First, just you deal 1 more damage, but you've got to use the Force to do it. So this is a more Force version of Shoot First. A little bit more damage in 2 power instead of 1, and also it's a rare as well. So a pretty good one, very nice, especially if you use the Force attacking, doing this as well. Like Shoot First was used very often, and being able to use this to take out something, get a little bit more power as well. 2 power is a bit more relevant than just 1 power. And yeah, very nice one. I will be looking forward to using this. I feel it could be pretty strong. Next, we have a Precarious Predicament. I don't think this is ever going to see play in competitive. It could be used in Sealed and Draft. This is just a 2-cost event where you return an enemy non-leader unit to its owner's hand unless its controller says it could be worse. And if they do say it could be worse, then you may play a card named its worst from your hand or resources for free. So either your opponent is not saying it's worse, and basically letting you do a 2-cost waylay. It's either a 2-cost waylay, or your opponent says it could be worse. Now, if you don't have the card, it could be worst. It's worse from your hand of resources to play from this extra effect. Or they do say it could be worse, and then you do play it's worse, but then you're using 2 cards just to take out 1 thing, and you do permanently remove it, because we'll see that when we get to the Aspect List cards, because it's an Aspect List card. But then you're either using 2 cards to permanently remove something, or you're just bouncing back something else for 2. So it's a cheaper waylay, which is most likely what's going to be. Well, which is rarely going to be, I don't think. Or you're paying 2 cards to take something out by using this, and then it could be worse as well. So not great for competitive, but for draft and sealed, it could be very useful. Next we have Force Illusion, so never Force and Trick cards. So this is one that can actually be cheapened by Jabba, thanks to being just Cunning instead of Cunning of Heroism. It's a 2-cost event that allows you to exhaust an enemy unit, and then a friendly unit you gain Sentinel for this phase. So it's not too bad. It's more of a draft a seal card. Not great for competitive, but still a nice new addition. Next we got Pounce, and this is a nice never one that you might want a... Well, I could get you some benefits from a creature deck, but I could see there's not many creatures in... I should probably check beforehand how many creatures there are, but I don't think there's many, especially I think there's only 2 in the Cunning. But this is a nice little event, like a creature-focused Surprise Strike. I think, yeah. Yeah, Surprise Strike. Where it's a 2-cost event, unless you attack with a creature, it gets 2+ power for that attack. So, nice little benefit there, but I don't think there's really many creatures to make it worth playing in yellow, and you have either... Unless you have to have a lot more creatures in the other aspect to get the best use of this, but then you can just play Surprise Strike, which is the same cost, just 1 less power, but it can give you anything. So this is like a worse Surprise Strike, but when rotation hits and that gets rotated out, it could be a replacement. Next we have Free Lessons. This is another 2-cost event, and this is pretty interesting because it allows you to play a unit from your hand, paying its cost of course. It gains Hidden for this phase, and then you give an Experience token and a Shield token to it. So you essentially play 2 more of any card's cost to have it played out with Hidden and Experience and a Shield on it. Not too bad, but I don't see the benefits of that where you can just give shields to it from other means. So I don't think this is going to be great competitive, but good for shield and draft. And this is the this is the Sparkle Rebellion for rotation. So it's a 2-cost Force Trick, so you can cheapen it with Jabba as well and make it 1 cost. And allows you to look at your opponent's hand, it's got a non-unit card from it. So like how we got Sparkle Rebellion, the same thing. So unless you're playing Villainy, you might use it in that. But if you're playing Heroism, you can play Sparkle Rebellion instead. Because Sparkle Rebellion lets you look at your opponent's hand and ditch any card out of it. Whereas this only discards a non-unit card. So when that gets rotated out, this will be the replacement. But at the moment, use Sparkle unless you're a Villainy, then you might use this. Then we got the new one being the new Waylay for when rotation happens. Well, the new Force Waylay when rotation happens. It's a 4-cost event, Will of the Force. Return a non-leader unit to his owner's hand, and then you may use the Force. Lose your Force token. If you do, now the player discards a Ram card from hand. So it's a more powerful Waylay, where not only bouncing something back to hand, it's a Waylay in the fact that the minimum it's doing is bouncing something back to hand. But then you can also use the Force to turn it into a discard as well. So instead of Waylay, it's more like two of the options for Cunning in one action, in one card, instead of using Cunning and being locked to double yellow to then use a potential 2 of any 4 options. So not too bad, but at the moment when rotation happens, it's not worth it unless you want to get the benefit of using Force. But you're normally going to use Waylay instead of this. But that is it for the Cunning one, so not too many impressive Cunning ones. I think there's more Cunning cards than any other aspect in this set. But there are some really, really nice new ones, but nothing too overpowered that I can see compared to previous sets. But it's some really nice new additions. Not too many Force, a few more Force cards in the Villainy side, but not too many. A good amount of Force cards for the Heroic side, and some not too bad, just normal Cunning cards. But yeah, that is it. Let me know how you feel about the Cunning cards, if you think they're very strong. I think there's alright, fair enough across the board, but nothing too busted for it. So that is it for me. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and check out tomorrow when we go over the Villainy cards as well.